How's it going, YouTube? Coming at you today with another video, and today what I have to bring to you is the newest list for tier. I'm very excited to show you this. This is something that I've been cooking in the background for a while. Shout out to my friend Austin Smothers. So this conversation started because we really wanted to figure out what we could do with tier. The first thought was paleo tier. Now, that's something that was really good, but we quickly realized that it was only really good because we had kit, it was really accessible, it was something that you could get to very fast, but the idea of some of the cards in there were really cool, especially with some new support coming out soon, right? So we were talking about playing like Strikes, and then play like Morella done for rollback, and things like that, but I didn't want to play that many trap cards in my deck. And I'm sure you don't either. So I made a variant of this with my regional deck list and the new idea, and just kind of smashed together the craziest list that I put together in a long time. I think that when you're looking at a deck that gets hurt on a ban list, you almost have to think if the identity of the deck could change. Because where you're a mid-range Gamba hope I hit deck to more of like a combo based deck, I think that is definitely really interesting with the playstyle change. But you'll see what I'm talking about as we get more into the video. If you haven't already checked out my sponsors over on Imperium Duelist, Dragonshield, Gem, Cloud, RW, Grimoire, or ChainLink, definitely go ahead and check them all out down below in the description. Also, my Patreon's there if you want to go ahead and support. Without further ado, let's go ahead and hop right on into this video. It's going to be very cool going over this because I really do love this list right now, and it's been overperforming. The first thing I want to say, though, is go pick up a playset of Soul Release. Please, if you haven't already, just go grab your set. This card is going to be bonkers next format. Playing against, like, Promethean Princess and Grave, banish that, banish any level 1s in the graveyard. There's so much you can do with this card. 100% pick up a playset of this card, put 3 of it in your side deck. You should be playing this. Now, the first thing is going to be Beast King of the Swamp. So I do think that post the ban list, your mills have to be better, but what you summon off your mills have to be even better. And I think that playing the Beast King is the most sensible here, because you're not ever going to play the Poly, because Poly is just such a bad draw and it's an awful mill. And then Guardian Chimera is like fine, but if they chain SP to your monster on board, then the Chimera doesn't matter anyway. So I'm just never playing King, but playing Beast King at least allows you to overlay into Bahamut. So that's pretty solid if you have like a Serpent on board or like a Rhino. It's just another way to be able to put up a early negation, which is what I was doing prior anyway, to be able to put up a Toad as soon as possible. So Beast King makes the most sense. We're only playing Rukalos, so I think Grapha is just such a bad card. But at the same time, the Rukalos is still really solid. Very happy to be playing that card again. But only playing 2 of the Beast King in the Swamp because, again, we don't really want to go overboard on having really bad mills. Now, we are playing the Vision Resonator package. I do like this a lot because there's a lot of instances where not playing Diviner anymore, you really want to be able to, like, shuffle back a Merly and then use the Sprint because you already have another level 2 in your deck to be able to send, so it's a legal put back and send for the Merly again. But now we just have Vision Resonator, which is really cool to kind of fill that slot. But also, sometimes you can go Sprint and just dump the Resonator because the Resonator can then add Crimson Gaia, and then Gaia adds from deck or grave to hand. So it is very cool that you have opportunities to do things like this if you do want to put up a Baron. You have a very accessible way for Baron now. Of course, you still need to be able to get into things like your Horus cards. I also before definitely used like a Dragostapelia and like a Vision Resonator, so a way to do it. I learned that back when my Diviner got impermed, and I was like, oh, this is still Baron. That's awesome, you know? But still at the same time, very cool card for the deck, allows you for a lot of very clean plays. Still going to be playing this card moving forward. The card that changed everything, Transaction Rollback. Now, the on-field effect of this card targets a card in your opponent's graveyard, but the graveyard effect copies a card in your graveyard that's a normal trap. What's really important about this is something that we learned from Fusion Duplication, is that if you go like Fusion Duplication, copy Branded Fusion, you can't get Ash on that because the effect is to copy the card. So this is very important when we talk about our two targets for the transaction rollback. Meta Noise and Needlebug Nest. So yes, we are still going ahead and milling a GGYGO Kelbeck. What is very cool about this is that you can actually set Needlebug Nest if you hard open it, and then just use it again in Grave and mill another 5 if you see the rollback, or if you Beatrice send a rollback. So that's also really nice. But more importantly is you can also use Meta Noise in the graveyard, and they cannot ash this one. So you can go ahead and book your opponent's monster and then just fuse for free. This is both very impactful, as far as it is something that can really help you out in your more mid boards. I think this is a really crazy combination that we are allowed to have now. Because you pay half your life, but like we were already doing that with Desrudo anyway, it doesn't really matter. If you're setting up a crazy first turn board, your opponent's not breaking it. But the Needlebug Nest, I know that it seems like, oh, that seems a little cope. But same time, when it's just free, it's very free. Because what's cool about this too, is rollback banishes itself, not the card. So if you have like rollback and you mill another rollback, or you can like send another rollback, the Needlebug Nest is just chilling in your graveyard. So you have another target to just go ahead and mill another 5. And that's why we're playing the Beast Kings, because again, we want to make sure that we have something really meaningful to summon whenever you mill a name. Talking about the deck list here, I do really believe that this is one of the cleanest ones that I've been able to put together. We're going to talk about a lot of different options that you can plug in, a lot of different ways that you can play the deck. The first thing, shout out to Hyperfused. We were talking about playing it the Impulse and the Fire Attacker, because again, it is the 6, and we have seen it be a little bit more popular lately, but it is another way to go ahead and get a trap, like a rollback, out of your hand, which is really nice too, and be able to draw into more extension here. We only play the 2 Vision Resonator and the 1 Crimson Gaia. If you mill the Gaia, it kind of sucks, but at the same time, I don't really want to overdo it on that package either, because it is very accessible through Sprint. Which is also really cool because the fact that the Resonator is a 2, so it also just makes an instant sprint, which is another thing that comes up quite often. The Foolish Burial Goods we've talked about cutting just because it can be a bit redundant, but at the same time, I think that it still serves a really important purpose here, because if you do have a availability to, like, let's say you open like a nest and then you can send a rollback, I'm absolutely doing that. So I still think that it's fine, even though you have like a ton of mill here. The 3 King Sark I think is really important, because even if you hard open Sark, you're still going to be just milling as much as possible. What I recommend is that you go Sark and send the Happy, and then you just try to mill an Imseti, right? Which is definitely going to be the best way to go about it, because there's only 1 Happy and there's 3 Imseti. You could play like the Coach King, but I don't really think that it's that important. I am playing the Barricade Board Blocker because you can add back Perlerino from Grave in the end phase, which is really nice. You also can just get rid of the traps in your hand, which is really cool. You still have to go ahead and pop the transaction rollback if you open it with no way to get rid of it, right? With like a Perlerino pop. But most times you will have it. I only run 2 Scream. I don't really think that you need it in a build like this at 3. I hadn't really missed it at 3. It's just another card that I don't want to like brick on or see as a bad mill, because everything now without the Kelbeck and a GGYGO is going to be like a more awkward mill. So it's one of those things where you want to make sure that like when you are milling, that everything is meaningful, right? Which I think is very important. I did add back the Dangerous as well. I think the Dangerous is just really important here, because you need to be able to make a Beatrice as soon as possible. I know that a lot of people were looking at Pilgrim Reaper. I don't really think that card cooks as much as people want it to. It's kind of random. It also makes both you and your opponent mill, and the fact that we get the option just like a one-side mill through Nest is really nice. Even though it could have been a win con most times if you did mill your opponent's deck, you don't really have to worry about that anymore, which is kind of nice too, because there's a lot of cards that you just don't want to see in your opponent's graveyard right now. You'll probably notice that I'm not on the shufflers. That might change, but they just proved to be very inconsistent. My hands were a lot worse when I saw them. You could potentially talk about siding those, but they just weren't as consistent as I wanted them to be. I'm still only on 2 Rhino because I'm playing the Serpent. I don't really think that you need more than that. Overall, I do think this has been one of the most consistent lists that I put together, at least for post-Fini. Well, this is going to be post-Maze. But at the same time, I do hope that you enjoyed this list today. Looking at the sideboard, another thing that you should really be aware of is evenly is everywhere. So make sure that you have an answer for that. That's going to be really crazy. If you're on Crossout already, which is also another really popular pick right now, make sure that there's an evenly somewhere so you have an answer for it. Super Poly is still really crazy. I only have room for 2. My side is really tight right now because I think that you have to run 3 Bell and 3 Cosmic plus Fine Eye is just like the best things that you can run, especially because the Wanted poster is bellable, and letting that just get negated in the draw and play around the triple tack is also really nice. But overall, I do really like the list. It's been cooking pretty well, and I'm going to keep adjusting this moving forward. But definitely let me know down in the comments below if you have any suggestions. I do really enjoy the list at the moment, though. It's been a lot of fun. If you haven't already checked out my Discord, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, or my Verify page, definitely go ahead and check it all out down below in the description, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Thank you all so much.